Hello, everyone, and we are here to celebrate the online launch of What the Boy Hears When the Girl Dreams. Intriguing. It's an intriguing title for sure. And we're here with the amazing author, Graeme Freidman. Welcome, Graeme.
Thank you, Karen. Great to be here.
And congratulations of the launch of this epic book. It's been a journey, hey?
It's been quite a journey. Conceived in about 2005, I think. Not that I've been writing it for 16 years, but that's when it first popped into my head, the beginnings of this book. So it's been a long journey.
Yeah, so that's when the call was 2005. Goodness
Yeah,
me, that's it.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
it's quite what that's 16 years ago. Like what? Yeah, it's
There's some
amazing.
gestations take a long time. I feel like an elephant or something like that.
Well, do you know what? The proof is in the book, and it is an evolutionary process to bring a story
Hmm.
like this to fruition. And you've honored that journey. So the fruits of your labor is there in this book. And one of the things that we were just speaking about before we came online was the cover. Isn't it just
Mm,
divine?
mm,
Have you got a
mm.
copy there? I'm just going to grab mine, bring it up close.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
both,
No, it's absolutely when I think when we all first saw this cover, our spines tingled. We just loved
it's
it.
just that moment. That's it.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah,
cover. And we had a
yeah.
few goes, and yeah, we had the most amazing cover designer as well, Nadia, I believe, isn't it? And we just have to give a shout out to her because
Mm,
she stuck the course till she got this cover right as well, and it was a
mm,
journey as well. And as much as her first covers were divine and wonderful, and so um, you know, ingenious in their execution, this was the cover
mm,
that you
mm,
seen whenever you seen it. That
mm,
was it.
mm, mm. No, that's right. And I mean, covers. It's such a personal taste, isn't it? And in the initial covers, I loved one, you loved another, and then Nada came up with this one, which we both absolutely adored. So it was a great
Yeah.
solution.
Absolutely. So see, it covers is both men and women. You see, there you go. We covered
Mm,
all bases.
mm.
But can you talk to me about what inspired this story, Graham? I'm sure our readers would love to know.
Right, right. Well, I think the general inspiration comes out of just what I like to write about, which is the lives of ordinary people set against extraordinary political and social events. And so it starts with that. I suppose most of my writing starts with that. But what I wanted to do really was to tell a story with a character who could go on a journey from a state of naivety through to one of self-knowledge and knowledge about the social world in which he found himself. And that's when the idea of having a boy as the central character came into my mind, because what better way than to start with childhood and have the opening of a child's eyes, or in this case the opening of a child's ears. So that was the general sort of inspiration. And then, the central, I guess, device of the novel is this issue of him having super hearing. And that just came by pure coincidence. I was just driving in my car one day listening to a report on Radio National, and it was a report on a medical condition known as superior canal dehiscence syndrome, basically a little tear in the upper canal of your ear, which results in super hearing. But of course, in the book, while there's a medical explanation for the boy's super hearing, he believes he has superpowers, and that takes him on a journey of imagination.
I love it. The intricacies. And this is all without giving the storyline away, guys. The depth, the writing. And that was one of the things about Lusaris is, we have the amazing Joanne, and Joanne is actually just here in our comments, so she can come and join us at our screen. Hello, my darling. So happy to see this book come out into the world. Yay, we got you in here with us, Joanne. And
Hello,
like
Joe.
how important is Joanne in all of this as well? Because she's the one who discovered this amazing book, and the editing process with Joanne and everything. These two work really closely together.
Yeah. Well, Joe and I have, I mean, we go back a long, long way from the time we were in the same writing group together back in South Africa. So we've been great friends for a long, long, long time. And then, we wrote a book together on relationships.
Yes.
But Joe has really been a champion of my writing all along. And while I absolutely love my writing, I'm completely useless at doing anything with it once it's done. So
Yeah.
Joe really has championed this book, and she's the one really, I'm so grateful for connecting me with you, and you wanting to take the book on and publish it. But that wouldn't have happened, of course, without Joe. So yeah,
Absolutely.
every
Absolutely. And it is a journey. It is connecting the dots. But you've been published before in your own novel, haven't you? Who was that with?
So that was with a South African publisher called Jacana, and that novel was called The Fossil Artist. That came out about 10 years ago now. Yeah.
Yes. 10 years, doesn't it fly in, Graeme? It
It
does.
does.
It does.
It gets
And a decade. It does. It does. So, with what the boy hears when the girl dreams, you actually have a physical event happening in about a week's time, which I believe Joanne will be there, which will be wonderful. But what's your hopes and dreams for this book? We're allowed to dream, aren't we? You're an author. What are your hopes and dreams?
Well, I just hope that it gets read by as many people as possible, and of course, we all want good reviews. It's lovely to get those, but more than that, I mean, I've really loved it in the past when I've read a review of one of my books in which it's felt like the reviewer has really understood something about what I was trying to do in the book. That for me is such a deep sense of satisfaction, and not just formal reviews in newspapers or whatever, but readers who will send me an email or talk to me about and they'll say, I really like the way you did this and this and that, and that's so satisfying to feel like yes, that's the response I was going for.
It absolutely is. It's getting rave reviews as it is with whenever we send out the arcs. Like, it's just people are just enjoying it, and the depths and the journey you bring people on, because whenever a reader dedicates their time and energy to go on a journey with your characters, you don't want to leave them disappointed, and you don't do that. You bring them on a nice intricate journey of imagination and on everything. And is there, what is your writing process, Graeme?
Well, I mean, just sort of practically, I guess I just grab whatever time I can to write that's not filled up with doing things like earning a living, because of course as writers it's not an easy thing to earn a living just through writing. But I'll sit down with a cup of coffee, which invariably ends up getting cold, and a pile of nuts and maybe some chocolate if I can get my hands on some, and always helps to have the family dog Ziggy curled up in my feet. And then I just start, and I guess a lot of writers will say something similar, in that you don't necessarily sit down feeling inspired in that moment, and you just in those moments you just have to sit down and start putting one word after the next until you get into a zone in which you feel like your imagination is flying. And other times there'll be something, I might wake up in the morning or some idea will come to me in the shower, and then I can't wait to get to my keyboard and put it
Yeah.
down.
Those are the magic moments, aren't they? When you get those ahas. So do you plan out what's going to happen in your novel, or do you let the characters go on a plan as you go along?
I do like to start with some sense of a plan, but then my first rule for that is break it whenever it's the right thing to do. And that's exactly what happened with this book. This book did not end where I thought it was going to end. It went in a very different direction, and it's magical when that happens, because I suppose it feels like the story is sort of telling itself in a sense. And of course, it's not quite that way. I mean, it's coming from me and my unconscious as well as my conscious thoughts. But it does feel like there's a sort of a journey and a surprise sometimes in the journey, which is lovely, right? Because if you can capture that feeling in the writing, then hopefully the reader gets that too. Yeah,
I think absolutely, because if you're whenever you're the writer and you're getting surprised by what's happening, it's your readers get the benefit of that as well, because you're keeping the page turning for them, because you're keeping it turning for yourself as the author as well.
That's right. That's right. And that comes often because the characters start to form up in ways that they feel like they're sort of separate personalities. And when that happens, well, unpredictable things can happen. And yeah, that's exactly what I found with this book. It started to go somewhere created in the story. Yeah.
And whenever the ending, did it come to you in like an aha moment? You're going, that's how this book's going to end, or was it progressional?
I can't quite remember whether it did come in an aha moment. I mean, there were lots of aha moments along the way, but there was, and I don't want to give away the ending, so I won't
Oh
say
yeah,
too much.
don't.
There was something, an event that I wanted to tie in, and I knew somewhere that was where I had to place my characters. But exactly what would happen with them in that event, I didn't know. That sort of evolved as it came close to the end.
Amazing. So first draft was done many years ago, and then like just for our aspiring authors, let's just clean slate here. That's not it. That's not the end of it. That's not when it goes to the publisher. Can you just give a little bit of foresight to cast a little bit of reality on the how hard it is to work a manuscript?
Well, this one in particular, because in 2005, when the idea first came to me, I had immigrated to Australia just 4 years before with my family, and we had a baby very soon after we arrived here. So we were very, very busy and trying to settle in. And you'd know this yourself, Karen. It's it takes time.
Same scenario. I waddled here 35 weeks pregnant, Graeme.
Oh, really? Wow. Okay. Okay, so you know the story.
I know what you're talking about.
So, I think I managed maybe a few thousand words early on, and then it disappeared somewhere. And then maybe 2 years later, I might have added another few thousand words. I counted up. I did start this, try to get into the book about 4 times, and only on the 4th time did it really get to the end of a first draft. And then, as you're saying, it sat there for a while again. And then I revisited it, which is always a good thing to do, actually, to just put it aside and come back a few months later, because you come back more as a reader of yourself, in a sense. There's more objectivity. You can look at it, and then lots of changes. And then another draft, and even right at the end, right? I mean, you might have, I don't know if you knew about this, but Suzanne Leal, whose beautiful words appear on the cover, had read the book, and she said she loves the book, but I've got to do something about the last paragraph. So and I did. I mean, she gave me, thanks to her.
Suzanne is here in our comments, actually.
Oh, wonderful. Hi, Suzanne.
Thank you, Suzanne. Congratulations, Graeme and Karen. It's a beautiful book. There we go.
Lovely. And so thanks to Suzanne, I always knew that wasn't quite right. That last paragraph wasn't quite right, but I couldn't quite get to it. And so, Suzanne just gave me a comment or two, and that was enough to rejig the work. So, I mean, typesetters don't like to have too many changes chucked in right at the last minute, but that's what happened.
That's
Yeah.
that's what, but that's all part of the process, isn't it? And you want to, to work with it until it is the best that you can deliver to the reader, and it is progression. But I love that you share that, it just kept calling you back and calling you
Mm,
back, and you just,
mm,
answered the
mm.
call until you finished that first draft, and then where yeah, it takes dedication to rework it and rework it. But one, if the
That's,
book's calling to be shared, you can't ignore it because it will keep calling until you do.
that's right. That's right. And
Mm.
it feels like you just have to complete it no matter what
Mm.
happens. When it's something that has grabbed you like that,
Yeah,
it's I suppose, I mean, it feels a bit like a baby, and you've got to
it
bring
is
this
a
baby,
baby.
into life and
Mm.
put it out into the world.
Yeah. Well, it's
Mm.
absolutely exquisite writing, exquisite storyline, and I cannot wait to hear how it's received, as it filters out there into the world. Are you working on anything else, Graeme? Have you got the next decade's book ready to go?
Well, this one's happening a lot more quickly because the kids are now pretty much grown up, and there's a lot more time. Yes, yes. There's a book I wanted to write for a long, long time, and that was um, a memoir, creative nonfiction book on my experience of giving expert psychological evidence in political trials and during the apartheid era in South Africa. And there's one particular trial which was just a terrible, terrible, trial in which people got blown up by landmines, and I mean, a devastating story, but one that has all the sort of fullness of human sort of experience in it. And
Mm.
because I was so involved with the guys who did it, and I gave evidence in their defence. I mean, they were freedom fighters in the Australian, in the South African anti-apartheid struggle. But it's been a very painful story to go back to, and
Yes.
so that is what
To
I'm working on.
relive that, to relive something like that, that is part of your past, but maybe there's the residue of things that, you maybe just, you kind of just bury for a while to get through it.
Mhm.
And they
Mm,
come to the surface when you revisit things like that. But it is an
mm.
opportunity to release them. In it's, so the writing is very therapeutic, but you do need to be very kind to yourself, don't you?
Well, that's right, and you used the right word there, because writing, yeah, I guess, for so many of us, and I'm
Hmm.
sure you share that, right,
Absolutely.
is a kind of therapy, and especially when it's something very close to our hearts, it's a way of trying to resolve something, lay some ghosts to rest, and certainly the book I'm working on at the moment is very much about that.
Amazing. And the rawness of it makes for amazing reading, but also amazing for people to connect with, with maybe the experiences as well,
Mm,
because
mm,
you have the courage to share them, and they may,
mm,
need to read it. It's a very powerful process when you write that kind of nonfiction. So I look
mm.
forward to seeing hearing about that as it grows. But for now, you're on the what the boy hears when the girl dreams, because for every author, when you release one book, it's as if that book's in the past, but now it's come to the future because it's being released. Isn't it that? And now you're going to be chatting about it lots. But enjoy it, because this is the fruits of your labor, Graeme. And yeah, as I said, I hope that everybody gets to enjoy it, because it is such a fascinating read, and I really thoroughly enjoyed it. So thank you for it.
Great. Well, thank you, Karen. Thank you for bringing it into the world.
Oh, my joy. My absolute pleasure, absolutely. And
Mm.
this is our second book with Lusaris, and that what we pride ourselves in is great writing, and that's what makes my heart sing with your novel and Joanne's novel. So it'd be good to see what comes next as well for us. So everyone, thank you so much for watching. Graeme, do you want to shout out to anybody before we finish up?
Just really, I mean, a general shout out to everybody who's supported me along the way. We this image of the writer sort of sitting on their own in a study, laboring away, is, yes, of course, that happens a lot. But the support that goes into, especially doing writing that can be painful and difficult, and in that sort of, creative way that also means, disappearing from the family. So a big shout out to my family for putting up with absences and supporting my creative journey, and of course to all of you who've done that as well, my friends, my colleagues, you, Karen, Joe, Suzanne, and all of you. Thank you.
Amazing. Well, thank you for writing the stories and sticking with them till the end. We commend you for that and appreciate it. So everyone, the book is available in all Australian bookstores through Paribo Distribution. It's available, it's actually on Amazon on Kindle if you want to go and grab your copy today. You might be able to help us get to #1. Wouldn't that be epic? We're going to share the link underneath these lives where they're everywhere. The lives are everywhere. And go and grab your copy and enjoy. Do yourself a favor and get this book and just escape into another world. Amazing. Thank you so much, Graeme, for this wonderful interview. And yeah.
Thank you, Karen.
Bye, everyone.